There's a kind of fear that once you experience it, it never fully leaves you. It's not fear of pain, not fear of death. It goes deeper. It's the fear of what we cannot understand, fear of the unknown. That's what Alien understands better than almost any film ever made. And maybe that's why it still works today. This is more than just a monster movie, more than science fiction. It's horror in its purest form. A story about vulnerability, about being isolated, about encountering something completely outside of our own understanding. Today I want to explore why Alien remains one of the scariest films ever made and why its fear still feels disturbingly real. One of the reasons Alien works so well is that Ridley Scott is a person obsessed with detail. Everything in this movie feels lived in, industrial, dirty, mechanical, used. It's not the clean future of most science fiction. It's not the clean future of something like Star Trek, for example. The Nostromo feels like a workplace. People eating, complaining, arguing about pay. This is what people do every day at work. You immediately recognize it. That's because the director understood something crucial. The more believable the world, the more terrifying the horror becomes. This is a movie that's built on a classic horror structure. It's a haunted house story, monster movie that happens to take place in space. Characters are isolated one by one. The director understands all the horror tropes, the shadows, the pacing, the slow reveals, the emphasis on what you don't see. The creature is terrifying precisely because we don't get to see it that well. Your imagination builds the nightmare, and that's always more terrifying than the alternative. When Scott read the script, there was one thing that stayed with him, and that was the Chestburster scene. He really didn't care about anything else, but he knew that was gold. He knew he had something special. And that's the moment that survived every rewrite it went through. Everything else was built around it. Scott immediately recognized the power of that one idea, the pure horror of it. There's something inside of you, alive. It's a violation of the body itself. It taps into something primal, something deeply unconscious, the invasion of your most sacred and vulnerable space. And then there's the alien itself, one of the greatest creature designs in film history. Not simply because it looks frightening, but because it feels biologically convincing. It's sensual, mechanical, predatory, it's efficient, perfect in its biological design, as if God was creating something better than us in every way, on purpose. Almost like God saying, here, deal with that. H.R. Geiger, who did the design for the creature, created something that feels inhuman, a monster not designed by committee, but by an artist. A nightmare fully imagined. And you can feel the love behind the creation, the obsession, the artist pushing deeper into his own imagination to give birth to something beautiful. Ripley, of course, is essential to why the film works. She doesn't begin as an action hero, she's just a witness. And she survives because she's paying attention. She follows procedure, she understands danger before the others. She's got a grounded intelligence to her, and that makes us identify with her. And in turn, that gives the fear weight, because now we're in it, or at least somebody like us is in it. Now it's personal. One of the things that makes the alien so frightening is that it resists human classification, human control. Every attempt to neutralize it fails. Science fails, authority fails, technology fails. The creature exists outside of humans' sense of safety. And maybe that's why the terror hits so deep. The universe doesn't owe us comprehension. It doesn't owe us fairness. And that's what lies underneath all the horror. It's the terrible recognition of our own vulnerability. The realization that despite our intelligence, our progress, our systems, all the things we create, we are still fragile creatures in a dark universe. Like Goethe's Holy Longing, you are only a troubled guest on the dark earth. This is where Alien becomes more than just craftsmanship. Every creative choice feels alive. The director doesn't choose things randomly. Every corridor, every sound, every shadow, every design element feels like something that genuinely activated his imagination. That's why the film feels so cohesive. The artist is not simply executing ideas, he's pursuing his own fascination through every choice, through every frame of this film. And that's the big lesson an artist can take from this movie. The audience can feel when the creator is genuinely alive inside of the work. When choices are made from obsession, curiosity, fear, wonder, not calculation, not trend chasing, not spectacle, real artistic fascination. This is the core of Alien. Fear comes from encountering what we do not understand. And art itself works the same way. The artist enters the unknown, follows the obsession into the darkness, and they bring something back, something strange, something beautiful, something dangerous and alive. There are many films that scare us. Some of those films are impressive. Some are cliches, but some films tap into something different. They remind us that it's a vast world out there and the unknown will always exist. And that thought, when you have it alone in the dark, is terrifying. That's Alien in a nutshell. If this resonated, hit like and subscribe. I help filmmakers master their craft and make films that matter. And remember, don't just direct your movies, direct your life.